So all of you know I love America very much. So I was going to talk about America, but this is something a lot of people don't know, and that's why I want to share it with you today, so that at least the people in this room will know this fact about the Statue of Liberty. Just very quickly, I want to get us. So if I told you that the Statue of Liberty represented immigration, would you guys agree? Yes. Okay. All of you agree. Great. So that would make sense, right? I mean, between 1892 and the mid-1920s, it welcomed over 22 million immigrants. A lot of them were Jewish immigrants, right? And immigrants from Eastern Europe. Right? And if you've ever been there or if you've ever read about it, there's a very famous poem written by Emma Lazarus. The last words are like, send the homeless, tempest tossed to me, I lift my lamp beside the golden door. So it kind of represented a symbol of new hope for those seeking a better life in this country. And I would argue that, I've shown you some older pictures, I would argue that this was true even in the late 1980s, right? That's me. And my parents took me there just because they were having a new life in America and they wanted their son, who would be American, to understand the ideals of this country. Now, let's look at her really quickly. She's 151 feet tall. If you Google Statue of Liberty foot, this is what you get, right? Her foot is up because it's meant to represent progress. Now, what a lot of people don't notice is her other foot. And let's get a closer look. If you look at that, those are chains, right? So, what do chains represent? As you can see them in the better view here, they're not just chains, they're actually shackles, right? So, what does Liberty stand for? What does Lady Liberty stand for? The designer, Frederick Bartholdi, was a very big advocate and proponent of abolition during the Civil War. As you know, he is the designer, and Edward Maboulier, he was the guy who commissioned Bartholdi to design Lady Liberty. So originally, rather than having this tablet, which all of you know her to have, she was meant to have a broken chain, right? So she'd be stepping on one chain, she'd have a broken chain in her other hand that would swing back and forth. This is the early design. This is in a New York museum, right? So what would a broken chain represent? Right? What are the significance of these shackles? So ask yourselves, what are the significance of shackles? Typically, we would call these to be significant to slavery, right? And that's correct. So Lady Liberty was actually created to celebrate the abolition of slavery in 1882, not to endorse immigration. And a lot of people don't know this. So this is actually what Lady Liberty is supposed to represent, this type of image, or this type of image, right? Not immigration as we know it today. So what happened? All of you were lied to by your teachers and right? No, you see, everything changes over time. Meanings of freedom change over time. Meanings of statues change over time. So the meanings of Lady Liberty were tamed because right after the Civil War, which is a period they call Reconstruction in America, people were kind of hung up over the fact that slavery was dead. The Southerners were not too happy about it either. So they decided that it would be a little bit too strong of an image for her to be holding a broken chain and basically showing to the world that slavery was gone. So they tamed it, and they gave her the tablet, which we all know today says July 4th, 1776. This is the unveiling of the Statue of Liberty with Grover Cleveland. And it's not just Statue of Liberty. A lot of meanings change for the statue. For example, the Liberty Bell was never the Liberty Bell in the colonial times. It was simply a bell that they rung at University of Pennsylvania to get students to go into classes, right? It was never cracked by any British fighting or anything. Right? The Liberty Bell became adopted by the abolitionists in 1850 to represent their meanings of freedom. Same thing goes for the Amazing Grace, a song written by John Newton, who was a slave trader, and he wrote it simply as a reflection of his changing view on slavery, and later became adopted in the civil rights movement in the 1960s, and is what you probably know it as today. So I'd argue that she's actually changing even to this day. I'd argue that today, the meanings of Lady Liberty have gone less from immigration, which we thought it to be until 2001. And before that, it was meant to be, which was abolition of slavery, and kind of now a representation of American spirit and American perseverance.